Hello, folks. Here we are. Pretty much the end of the season here. Might look at getting a different one of these here sometime. See if I can tighten up that box some. Get a new one of those manual steering box. Can't remember the company that makes that. Is it PCS maybe? Something like that. But yeah, here's a good look at my electric vacuum pump for the manual brakes. That Dr. Diff offset Hemi master cylinder there. Pushes it up, clear the valve covers. Works good on that the big wedge motors with big valve covers too. So just trying to get you something to look at so I can make a video here. I'm going to talk about what my forward plans with the whole engine take apart and shit. If you've been watching my stuff, you realize I did a big dump of videos there yesterday. Work's been kind of crazy, and I was sick for a couple days, so I got behind on actually putting those out. But whatever, they're out. So I'll sit back against my bench here. The verdict really was on the engine that I didn't find any perceivable damage in it, as you saw in those videos if you watched. The knocking, I think I was hearing, the sound was, I think, unburnt gas fumes exploding in the headers. But I do still think that was having some detonation issues, as I would do like a moderate pass, like I'm pretty sure my theory is still correct, where as you lay into it and the cams started to work well, the volumetric efficiency, pardon my stupidity today, picked up at that certain RPM range to a point where it was really raising the cylinder pressure beyond what that 90 octane fuel I get a hold of was capable of withstanding. So, all in all, the project still stands as to be the compression reduced, and I was never really happy with the cam I had in there. It was just too soggy on the bottom, and it wasn't fun to drive. It was definitely more of a drag race cam. So, new cam and lifters is still in play for that. So, project moves on, actually. The only other thing I'm thinking about doing with that project is I might use a little bit thinner head gasket and try to tighten up my quench distance a little bit. Because I had a 39 thousandths gasket, and they're about 5 thousandths down in the hole. So I could trim a little bit out there and keep my quench up nice and tight. But who knows? I mean, that's not really that important, but just something I always like to think about. So anyway, that project's moving forward. So what I found was the people at Diamond wanting just an outrageous amount of money. Good pistons, but man, I can't justify like $1,800 shipped to me, you know. They want to charge you $425 to model to weight when they take, it's all computer design. They take the top off I think a 4 1/4 stroker crank piston, and then apply it to mine just for the bigger dish, you know, for my 415 crank, and then change the compression height, and then model it to weight. I mean, come on, man. It's crazy. It's nuts. Like, I know times change, but holy shit, you know, it was less than half the price for the set of Ross high compression racing lightweight pistons that were in the motor before that. They were only around $600 a set, I think. It's crazy. So the alternative was, and I'll go on a little bit more of a rant here. Why do they not have this 10-to-1 compression piston on the shelf? It's not, that's not an exotic combo. A 415 crank with a tight aluminum head. Like, why wouldn't you have a 24cc dish piston on the shelf to make 10 to 1 on an Indy head, or 9.5 to 1 on an Edelbrock head? I don't get it. It's really not that big a deal. So anyway, uh, Keith Black Icon pistons. They have a 24cc dish set for like $600, forged. You know, a far good enough piston for my needs. Even for pretty heavy bracket racing, those pistons are fine. And they're on the shelf. They're right there, 990 pin, everything. You know, so like, how come Diamond is so far behind the curve and they want so much money? That's just ludicrous, man. It's crazy, crazy. So that's the route I'm going to take, which I will end up taking my crank out of the block, which I wasn't going to, but it's not really a big deal. I mean, I'll have to do a new seal and stuff, but I'll have to take it down to Syracuse to my engine shop that I use, and they'll do the rebalance for me, because those pistons are heavier than the Diamonds by, like, I don't know, a substantial amount, like 50 grams or something like that. Maybe not quite that much, but so I'll have to get some rebalance work done. But either way, you know, a couple $100 for a rebalance compared to 1,800 for the set that matches that's just ludicrous. I'll take the crank out and bring it to Syracuse. Christ, that's an insane amount of money. It's almost a whole rotating assembly, you know. Well, at that point, why wouldn't I just save the extra few hundred bucks? I don't know what it would be, and purchase a 528 kit or something, you know. I mean, you're only lacking $500 probably, something. It's crazy. So that's where I'm at with that. That's the goal moving forward here in a little bit. I'll get them ordered, and I'll get them ordered at cost through my guy in Syracuse, and the assembly will go to him, or the crank anyway, and a rod and piston and whatever. I'm not sure exactly all of what he needs for the rebalance, and that'll be set to go then. So hopefully, barring any like parts shortage, you know, created supply chain issue shortage, you know, hopefully maybe I can do this build fairly soon in the winter. I want to get that squared away, and then I'll save up a little more cash, and I think I'll be calling Dwayne Porter, and I'll talk to him about what cam he knows what I need, and probably what I think I want is going to be wrong. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could pick one that would be decent, but that guy's supposedly the boss for the whole situation. So, well, after I talk to that dude, and I don't know, maybe a couple months, I'll post an updated video on my conversation with him, and I'm definitely going to ask to make sure I get all the specs to this cam, including the valve opening and closing events, to which I didn't have for the Comp Cams Custom. I only had like the advertised duration and the lift and all that, and the duration at 50, and the center line and the normal stuff. But I want the closing events and stuff just for reference, because what I'm looking for is a good streetable cam that still breathes pretty well for the whole time. And I'm gonna talk to him about the relationship too between, you know, lift, cam, you know, cam size and all that. I want to have a nice conversation with the guy if he has time, and try to find out. My main question really is, if you have a nice, decent flowing head, how does that affect the engine in comparison to lift? Like, if you have a good head, can less lift still give you good performance? You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm sure it can. I'm sure that's the point. But can you still push up in the RPM range because your head will flow better? Is kind of my question. If you guys get the point of it. Anyway, that's where we're at. I'll do some more updates down the road, and hopefully do some reassembly video and such. Take it easy. Have a good Thanksgiving.